Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Diesel Productions, where we are speaking to the the people running for the Board of Ed election for East Brunswick. Today we are sitting with Anna Braun, who is a current board member and running for a full 3-year seat this time, right? Mm-hmm. She was currently on a 1-year seat.
Yes.
So we're here to speak to Anna Braun, talk about her campaign, talk about her service to the community, and her vision for the future of East Brunswick school districts. Anything she says today is of her own opinion, of her own volition, not one of the board or one of mine. This is to have an open and constructive dialogue for our community so we can move forward with our school district and ideally a positive place. So thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you,
Anna. And I just kind of want to hear about your first year being on the board. Like, what was that like? Have you ever done anything like this before?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you also for reading almost verbatim my, the board policy. I'm not allowed to just give out my opinion on anything I want to. I am restricted by certain policies from the board. So anything I say is me. I can't speak for the whole board or the school district or anything like that. So
well, that makes sense because you're an individual person with your own views.
I used to be, but not anymore. I mean, I can't talk like Anna Braun because
what's that like?
Oh, it's really hard because I like to talk. And now I literally have to think, am I going to get ethics charges brought up against me for what I'm about to say? And it's miserable to look at it that way. Now, I taught in 3 districts. I taught in 2 districts before I came to East Brunswick. So I've been in education almost 36 years. That serves me very well, being on a board of education. I think being a school lawyer would help too, and which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because you were a teacher, knowing school law as it relates to students. I mean, that's a piece of cake.
Yes.
But it's all of these other intricacies that you are just feel very unnatural to me, and I don't want to make a misstep because I want to follow the rules. So it is very frustrating.
Well, what do you think is the function of a board of education then?
Well, the function, and this is the canned answer that every board member would give, our job is not to run the schools, but they are to see that the schools are well run.
Okay.
That's your standard
So what does
answer.
that mean?
Well,
What's the difference?
Of course there is.
What's the difference?
Yeah. Well, what's supposed to happen is we approve things or provide suggestions when things come across our desk. Like I think we're going to be doing some policy revisions. So that is done by the people who get paid to do that job. And then we make suggestions for what we would like to see changed, or maybe send something back for further revision, that sort of thing. But we're not actually, I almost feel like people think, oh, Board of Ed, you have so much influence and power over what goes on. I'm like, not in my experience. That's really not the case. I thought that board members drove more of the decision making, but that's not been my experience.
So from your first year, what were some outcomes that you found really positive, you think? What are some things that you believe might need progress?
I thought long and hard about that question, because I naturally get asked that question a lot because I'm an incumbent. And normally when you're running as an incumbent, you can point to your record. I accomplished this. I did this positive. I did all of these great, which is wonderful. And I'm so happy for people who have good things that they can point to. In my case, I feel like I walked into a dumpster fire because I came in at budget season.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to put out a dumpster fire with a teacup. And I keep bailing water, and I guess the only thing is I feel like I was able to help mitigate some of the damage, but the fact that so many people were riffed was horrible. Now, my own husband was riffed back in 2010, something like that, when Governor Chris Christie slashed school funding. And so my husband was riffed from East Brunswick.
I remember that. And we had, I think we had a surplus of teachers during that time, but no jobs when he was cutting. Because I was literally in the middle of college, and that was the big thing, because they were all talking about, they were like, there's no jobs right now. Everybody's like, and I was in the middle of my teaching degree. I remember that.
Yeah, because my daughter wanted to be a teacher, and her father and I were like, you can't, this is terrible. Do something, anything else. Don't go into teaching right now, because the climate was so bad. So when I'm now sitting at the dais and I'm given a list of, okay, these are the cuts you have to choose from, these 77 items. We didn't get that list until we sat down at the dais. So I didn't even have enough time when I sat down to flip through.
They don't give you digital copies of these things?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves, because, being a teacher, paper was always scarce. Like, I was buying paper.
Wait, so you get a binder of the budget thing?
Yeah.
And then kind of have to decide. How long do you have?
Oh, that wasn't even the binder. This was going back to March the 3rd.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, just so that nobody gets upset, this is everything that was said in open.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is a matter of public record. We were handed, I don't know how many page document, 77 items to choose from.
Okay.
What to cut. And we went line by line. And we didn't know what was coming on the next page.
Oh, you didn't get this ahead of time?
No.
And then you choose then?
Yes.
How do you choose what's good or bad? How do you how do you walk in with I'm Anna Braun, and I looked at it all 70. These are things that tiered out I think are good.
Yep.
And then maybe Wilbur would do the same.
Yep.
And then you'd go, oh, we both find this thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Does that seem a little messed up to you?
That's an interesting way to do it.
It sure seems messed up to me, but what do I know? I was just a music teacher.
Okay, that's a process.
Yeah, so evidently that's the way it's always been done, I was told when I questioned it, which I'm like, I'm not okay with that. I am not okay with that. Call me in an hour ahead of time. Let me look at this. Let me digest this and read this.
Is there any reason why you guys can't get it ahead of time, digitally? What's the rationale? Isn't this all open source information technically?
Well, okay, on March the 3rd, normally the March 3rd meeting, a discussion of the budget would have been done behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now, and which I totally appreciate, the, moving forward with transparency, that we did it as a committee of the whole. So we all sat down together, and this was to come up with a tentative budget. All right. And so normally, like I said, behind closed doors, this is the first time in public. But I don't care. You can't hand me something and expect me to be able to digest it. As I'm turning the page, it's a bloodbath. Cut after cut, riff after riff. And as we're going through, I see that they're cutting the band and orchestra program in half. Okay, I know a little something about band and orchestra program because that's what I did for a living.
Yeah.
And when they're saying, well, we're going to cut half the staff, I'm like, how many students are enrolled in this program? Oh, we don't have these numbers. What do you mean you don't have these numbers?
You don't have the number of kids
How do you not know how many children are being serviced by this program, and yet you're just going to make a decision?
What if it's a popular program? What if there's a bunch of people in this program?
Well,
wouldn't you cut things where there's not a bunch of people?
Well,
where you would go, oh, there's 7 kids doing sewing and 350 kids doing music. Maybe.
Okay. One would think that,
okay.
Wouldn't one? That's why I love the expressions on your face, because that's how I felt on the inside, what is going on here? So when I was told, oh, we don't have those numbers, I said, well, fortunately I do. I had the numbers because I do my homework. And I go to concerts. I count up names because it's always nice to see how big the program is. From grades 4 to 9, there are almost 1,500 kids in the band and orchestra program.
It's a lot.
I would say that's a lot.
It's a lot of engagement.
Yes, it is. There are 500 alone at Hammersholt.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 2 teachers with 500 kids. That doesn't add up. Now, when I was teaching, there were times I had over 40 kids in a class, which you can imagine was.
I don't even have to imagine.
No.
It's in my head.
Yep.
It's there.
We would have a 43-minute period. I mean, this is going back.
Yeah.
All right. And if I had 43 kids in a class, I'm like, okay, that's 1 minute per kid. If you break it down. So it was awful. And then I got up to 50 kids, which was wonderful because the program was growing and growing. But one teacher with 50 kids, no, it doesn't work like that. You can't, it just doesn't work. But that's what they would have been assuming that they would do, I guess. Another example is the fact that they cut 15 minutes per day in the elementaries for specials, which would be, also include the art. It would be art, it would be music, it would be the library, it would be phys ed. So 15 minutes a day, I mean, that's a significant amount of time. And we were told, oh, yeah, the kids are going to be with their classroom teachers.
Can they be contractually?
And that's another question that was asked, was, does this fit within the teacher's contract? And we were told yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like that as a parent or as a kid in town. Several kids in town.
Yeah. So, I mean, and these are things that we were given, and we had to come to a consensus.
So where do they put the kids
that night? I don't know.
Because I think they sit in the cafeteria. Which it was really interesting, because so we have 3 high schoolers and a 10-year-old.
Okay.
And I remember the discussion about homeroom or something the other year, and then everybody kind of lost their shit. And was like, this is America, and I curse sometimes.
That's okay. So, better you than me.
Yes, don't worry about you. But, and everyone was getting really angry. And we actually had a discussion at dinner about this whole situation. And they said, well, the kids, when they're idle hands, and then they get into fights and do all these things. And then this whole rollout of this 15-minute block of no instruction, nothing happening. Actually, no accountability, really, because I don't think they take attendance when they're in there. So isn't that what the discussion when they changed that whole thing where they didn't want them there for 15? Isn't this the same? Doesn't this cause kids with idle hands and just chilling in a room with no governing body?
That does seem to be the case, doesn't it?
Okay.
But you can go back to the board meeting of March the 3rd, and questions were asked, and they were answered.
Yeah.
And that's all I can say.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Roger. So now we're moving on. We have a new superintendent. The old one, Victor Valesky, is stepping down. He's retiring from his public service and moving on to whatever he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So what are we looking for in a superintendent? Like, you were a teacher.
Yes.
When you envision leadership in your building, as a teacher, what leader do you see as a superintendent that would be of quality for any school district, honestly?
Sure. Now, I have, as I said, a fair bit of experience being in schools. I worked under 8 different superintendents. I worked for 27 principals and vice principals.
A lot of people.
I know, right? It's crazy. So I know a little bit about what makes for a good educational leader, because I saw examples both sides. I saw some really good ones, and then you see some like, I don't know. You can tell who had been in the classroom. and the supervisors, principals, superintendents that had actual boots on the ground experience working in public schools, I found, to have the best understanding of how schools run, which makes sense because if you're an educator and you've been in the classroom, you're going to have the priorities of someone who has been on the inside. If you've never stepped foot in a classroom, how are you going to know what it's like? It's kind of like I could say, oh, here's an apple. Isn't this apple look wonderful? But it tastes great, except you've never taken a bite of an apple. So I can tell you about the apple, but you don't really know unless you've actually taken a bite out of the apple. So I always use as my ideal superintendent was Dr. Joanne Magistro. Now, Joanne started as a guidance counselor at East Brunswick High School. She was a guidance counselor when I was a student at the high school. And, she worked her way up. She became an assistant superintendent. And then eventually she was hired as the superintendent. And the day that she was hired, I happened to be at the board meeting. And I remember the president of the board saying, oh, Joanne, and it's really great because she's coming for a lot less salary than the previous superintendent.
Oh, that's the great part. Okay.
Right. And I looked at her face because she's the first female superintendent.
Oh, that was said in the same.
Oh,
this person said this out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was
that's
the first
a choice
female,
to say that.
and the fact that she's going to be cheap. So
that's a choice to say that out loud.
She's great, and I looked at her and I'm like, because back in the olden days, there was still a lot of bias against women, being the glass ceiling.
Well, so admin, and again, I was with you, not with you, but similarly in a classroom. Most admin positions, just so you know, a lot of them are men. A lot of admin positions are men, and that stems from women have kids early, so then their career kind of takes a back seat. Sometimes they step out of the school system, come back in. So career trajectory for men is hyper focused on how much money they're going to make. So that is what, I'm just saying that's systemically kind of why this happens, and it just unintentionally happens this way, where it turns into kind of a system. So that's kind of wild that person said that. I'm sorry, I have to acknowledge that in a modern era, I can't understand.
We're saving so much money on Joanne.
While we're bringing a woman in.
Yeah.
Not the words to say.
Yeah. But anyway,
go.
What I appreciated about her. Now, did I agree with everything? No, of course not. I mean, that was her job, was to run the district. And as a teacher, I did what I was told. Now, there came a point where we were looking at doing construction and doing a bond referendum for the building of New Hammersholt.
Yeah.
So she asked me if I would be part of the committee, the ad hoc committees, because I was kind of a double threat. I was a teacher, a parent of kids in the school, and I lived in district. So I had
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense.
I thought so.
Put the lady who is literally, you are overly invested, literally here.
Yeah. So I was on those committees, and I helped push for the bond referendum. And we got it. At the time, when that bond referendum was passed, it was the largest bond referendum ever passed in the state of New Jersey. We also were able to do major renovations to Lawrence Brook and to Central School. And so it was fantastic. And I admit I nagged Dr. Magistro incessantly about putting in a performing arts center, because we had the auditorium at the high school, which has remained the same size since 1958.
Yeah.
And because the arts programming has been so successful in town.
Yeah, my daughter's in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, my daughter's in it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So we couldn't fit our kids on the stage at the high school.
It's a good problem.
It's a wonderful problem to have. And so I advocated very strongly for a performing arts center because it's a moneymaker.
Yeah, you rent it.
Yeah.
When I was at North Brunswick, Marcy Marks, who's now the supervisor for special ed, she's a great teacher. I know she's going to kick butt at that position, but she ran all the theater stuff.
Yeah.
And we would speak at lunch, and she would talk about it. She's like, oh, it's great. People rent it out. She would manage that part of it.
Yep.
And that's where you get back end money.
Yeah.
When you have a beautiful thing. And North Brunswick has a beautiful, state of the art facility. And people will pay for this.
Yes, they do.
To do performances because they don't have a state of the art facility.
Exactly, because now I worked when New Hammersholt opened. I worked in the Performing Arts Center as a sound and light tech. Cool. And so I was working every weekend. I would be working 7 days a week. And kind of actually funny, I would come back to work, my real day job, on a Monday to relax.
Over the weekend.
From my weekends, or I'd be working 12-hour shifts.
Well, it's different teaching. I feel like teaching, once you do it for so long, it's just inside of you.
It is.
And then you just kind of do it. And it doesn't feel like a job anymore. You just exist and talk about things you like.
Yeah. And do fun things and be around kids. And, I absolutely love teaching. So anyway, getting back to my model of superintendent, definitely somebody who has classroom experience, because there's no other way for you to understand what it's like being in a school unless you've done it. I mean, and I believe you understand that. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're talking, all the way from, custodians, instructional aides, teachers, guidance counselors, everybody, all the way up to the principal. We all have a very different way of looking at things than people who are not educators, which is why, not to brag, but I am running a campaign, aren't I?
Yes.
I feel I do play an important role as a voice of someone with experience in our district, because that makes a difference. Because remember, I worked in more than one district.
Yeah.
So I have that perspective. So I can speak as a retired East Brunswick teacher as to the way things work, as to what I see are issues.
So now we're going through some facility issues again. And this is not, and for anybody who watches this is not a East Brunswick isolated issue. This is a statewide issue that every single school district is contending with. I was on health and safety committee meetings for North Brunswick. They have their own issues going on. But when I would go to these committee meetings over in Trenton, and we would sit down and literally all the same gripes, from affluent to the lowest socioeconomic run, about basically the infrastructure of the school, of the buildings. So we already have Churchill, which has we have the trailers in the back, and before I got riffed, I was working there for a few months. So I taught 6, 7, 8. So I would have to go back and forth and do this thing, which was actually really difficult, just getting through the hallways because of how tight everything is, and then going into the other section. How long is temporary? And what do you think are what do you think are how do we, I don't know.
I have so
As
many
a parent,
thoughts.
I'm just wondering.
Can you see all the wheels turning?
Yeah,
it's what can I say without getting myself in trouble? Because boy, do I have thoughts.
Well, I would like to hear.
Oh, well, I will go as far as I can.
Okay.
And maybe a little too far, but oh well. You know what?
What are they going to do? Give me a bow?
I have to be real with you. I actually looked up, because you could get censured if you do something bad, if you do something unethical.
So they stop you from speaking?
Oh, well, they kick you off.
Okay. They stop you from speaking. That's what censure is.
Right? They
tell you to shut up.
Kick you off.
By kicking you out.
And so I actually looked up the legalities of it, because I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? They send a complaint to the state, and then at the state they examine whether something, a board member was bad, and whether they need to be censured for a few months or whatever. So I was looking at it, I'm like, well, what's the worst case scenario? I speak honestly and freely, and I get censured. Okay, I get my Thursday nights back.
There you go.
Or I could sit in the audience and be a member of the public. Whether I get reelected or not, I really don't care, which is also a ridiculous thing to say for somebody running for office.
I think it's a powerful thing to say.
I am so not a politician. I hate politics. The more I've been involved with it, the more disgusting I find the whole process, to be honest.
What do you find about discussing about the process?
Oh my gosh. It's so petty. And did you teach in the middle school, junior high?
I taught high school, and then I went to middle school when I went to New Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, out of the three levels, I would never want to teach middle school ever again. Little kids, cool.
They're really cute.
Adorable. I love coaching my little kid wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's honestly,
They're
it's
adorable.
hysterical. I like high schoolers.
Mm-hmm.
Middle school with the hormones, and they don't know anything that's happening in their brain or body, and they're psychopaths in that age group. They're nuts.
Maybe that's why I fit so well, because they're my favorite.
They're your favorite. It's so hard, that grade level.
But I love the kids in the middle. You know,
Why is that?
They're finding themselves.
Yeah, I find that the hardest.
They're finding their passions, and I love teaching in the middle. However, there's a lot of drama, in the cafeteria. I mean, and now I'm thinking back to my own junior high school days when I compare it to being a politician. I find it sort of a cross between playground bullying and junior high school cafeteria
chatter,
the stuff that goes on. Oh, you can't be friends with this person because they're friends with this person, and you shouldn't be talking to this, right? I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not going to play with you because you don't agree with me, or I wanted to use the slide. And this is how petty I have found politics to be. But what do I know? Anyway, we were talking about the trailers. I did
the trailers.
not forget
the temp trailers. Yes,
the temporary trailers. Now, my classroom at Churchill was the old Smith School cafeteria. Okay. So you know where the north building, and it's right at the junction of the two hallways coming out of the north building, and then you have the main drag.
I would pass by there all the time when I was going to the trailers.
Yes.
I think the music teacher is over there.
Yes.
And again, my daughter is like super heavily involved, so I would end up.
What instrument?
So she does theater and chorus and choir. Her name's Lyric. So
my gosh, it's so beautiful.
Yes, we were. I guess we were shooting out to make sure she did that and not become a wrestler. Clearly.
Oh goodness, a wrestler named Lyric. I don't know.
There is a wrestler named Princess Storm. Yes, which is the dopest name possible for.
I love it.
I don't think they predicted she would become like this badass wrestler girl.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah, enough of that. So sorry.
All right. So anyway, so that's my perspective. This is where I was. This was one of the hot spots for traffic.
Yes.
So now I retired in July of 2021. So. The trailers were announced that they were going in December of 2021. All right. So I was out of there by then, except that I happened to be at a concert the night that they were announced. And when I went to the building, people were flipping out. They're like, they had no idea that Hammersholt Middle School was going to turn into Hammersholt Upper Elementary, and that all this shifting was going to be going around. Well, so there was an explanation at that time, and this is why I bring my paperwork to make sure I'm completely accurate.
No, I feel you.
That January 6, 2022, there was an explanation of why the TCUs couldn't go at the elementary school. Now, one of the reasons that they were told they couldn't go at the elementary school is because you would have to expand the parts of the building where all the students would be, right? So you'd have to expand the cafeteria and the media center and the hallways and everything else. the gym, whatever. All the infrastructure would need to be improved throughout the building. Did they do any of that at Churchill?
Yeah, my question is, so Churchill doesn't? I walked through the hallways while this was... That principal is running through this building like a wild person.
Yes.
I've witnessed him, and I even said while I was there, I actually really appreciate the fact that I see all of you.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And you're not drinking coffee in your...
good heavens.
In your office like some other school districts.
They do not have time for that.
Yeah, they don't have time for that. They're running around like crazy people.
Yes, they are.
So I'm just like, okay.
Right. So having worked there and seen what the hallways are like, knowing that they were putting an extra, 700 kids, 650, whatever it is, something like that. They don't, I know this is going to come as a shock. They don't stay there. They don't stay there all day. Do you know what those kids do? They walk out and they join all the rest of the 1,000 and some kids, and they use the same core facilities.
Yeah.
They use the same cafeteria. The cafeteria has not been expanded. Those kids are crammed in there like with a shoehorn.
Yeah.
The gym, the media center, the hallways, nothing has been expanded.
What do you think happens when you shove kids in a building like sardines? I'm asking you. What do you think happens?
I know what happens. I mean, that's not a healthy environment, you know? And I actually yelled I told you I was very passionate. I yelled at a couple former board members. And I was like, what the heck were you thinking approving putting these TCUs in? Did it occur to you that the kids don't stay there all day? They have to go to the other end of the building because depending on what classes they have. And now you've got 7 through 9, which that's where that used to be back in the really olden days. But there's overcrowding. And I was told, oh no, it's not overcrowded.
Oh, it's overcrowded. I've been in there. It's overcrowded. And I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen when all these apartments come. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen when all the apartments come. I don't necessarily think people coming into town is a bad thing. No. I just think that our infrastructure, like, again, we speak about infrastructure, and I asked that question about kids and what happens when you shove them in a sardine can. And the fact is, like, if you want less fights, if you want less, like, it is less advantageous, and this is just my opinion, it is less advantageous to shove middle schoolers in a tight, confined environment than it is to shove little kids in a tight, confined environment, because there's a deep level of structure in the fact that they're only in one space, which is what you're talking about, as opposed to the movement. And they're middle schoolers. They're nuts. They just do things. They don't have self-regulating yet.
No,
they're
they
building self-regulation.
Yes.
That because I taught 9th grade forever. And then when I went to the middle school and I taught 8th grade and I taught 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
6, cool.
Yeah, because they're
7th,
almost still like little kids, you know?
8th graders, the juxtaposition of an 8th grader versus a 9th grader when they transition through the summer is insane.
Yes.
I don't even understand. It's really interesting to see this shift. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's kind of wild that they shoved all the kids in there. So what are we going to, like, is there a plan for the temporary things? Are we getting rid of these things? Like, when are we doing that?
You ask such wonderful questions. Inquiring minds want to know the answers to these questions, including myself. Now, we have, I believe, 2 more years left on those trailers because they were purchased.
Oh, they're purchased, not rented. Okay.
Now, I have another last. Don't let me get sidetracked. Make me come back to TCUs because I'm temporarily diverting. I ask questions and I don't always get answers, which I find rather frustrating. I did ask on several occasions, how much did we pay? How much did we pay for these TCUs? What's the final? Are we renting them? Are we not renting them? We bought them. So probably, my guess is probably through shared services agreement. So we borrowed money, which has to be repaid back with interest, right? Isn't that the way those things work?
Yeah.
So I know it was, I don't want to give you wrong information, but it was at least $3,465,000 to put down the site development work. So we spent $3 million.
Not even the building. Not even the structure.
No, that's just
Okay.
that concrete pad and everything that went along with it.
$3,400,000.
Right there. Yep. And that was effective January 5th, 2024.
I know a really great lady who does paving. I think she could have undercut $3 million.
Oh.
Okay.
So, if I calculated based on the contract lease of the TCUs, and this is going back to 2022, all right, and we leased them through ESCNJ, Educational Services Commission, which is wonderful because it's like a co-op.
Yeah, so they help people out.
So you get better prices.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like Sam's Club.
Yeah.
For schools, buying quantity, get a lower price. And they were to be rented for $121,900 a month.
Oh, a month?
Don't fall off your chair.
The trailers?
This is what, and I'm
like a trail. Why didn't they just buy a trailer? They literally, you could buy a trailer. It's the same trailer. It's a trailer that's in a trailer park.
Oh no, these are nice trailers.
It's really nice. I lived in a trailer park for a few months because it was cheaper than buying an apartment.
I was told they were nice. I was told they were so nice.
I mean,
and that the parents love them. This is what I was told.
Yeah, it's really white when you walk in.
That's what I've been told.
It's very clinical.
Okay, so if we had rented them, that would have been $7,316.
It would have been more.
This would have been if we rented them for 60 months.
Okay.
But we bought them, so maybe we got a little discount at the end. But now, and again, I'm not a financial wizard, but you have $3 million for the bottom, right? The foundational work, and then $6-7 million. You know,
we couldn't just put a building there with a breezeway that goes between the two?
You ask such good questions.
Like, honestly.
Well, there's maybe $10 million for those trailers. Now, they do evidently have a life expectancy of 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
On selling them?
However, you can only use them according to state law, okay, for 5 years after the 5th year, because otherwise schools would just keep them forever.
Yeah, that's
if
I'm a miser with my money, that is the exact. If I was a corporate entity
Thankfully
that
you're
is
not.
Looking for the bottom line, I would go, sweet, we have a sea of trailers.
Yes.
Okay.
Modular units or yes.
That's another word for them.
I'm trying to be generous here.
Language.
So they have to be retired after 2026-2027 school year. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Like right around the corner.
Yeah. Now, why has it taken so long for there to be any movement? We spent over $1 million on architectural plans. And this is all from minutes. Meaning I'm not pulling these numbers out of thin air. All right. We've already spent a lot of money. It was presented to the community. And then radio silence. Have you heard anything? This was a hot topic last year.
No, I haven't heard any of that. That's why I wonder.
Right. When I was running last year, it was a hot topic. Oh, sorry. Was that an earthquake or?
I don't know. We are inside the UFC gym in North Brunswick. Sometimes people are lifting weights so wild, the place rumbles. A helicopter.
Oh, that must be a very low-flying
Get in
helicopter.
the chopper.
Oh my gosh, they're coming for
Get
me.
in the chopper now.
You'll protect me. I feel safe with
We
you.
are not live.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Oh, this is staying in there. This is funny. So continue. So like,
Right.
there's no plan right now then. So there's no like open plan about the. Okay, that's fine.
I know.
Is it a budget thing? Is it just like, have we not allocated for this at all? So now when we're in a budget crisis, kind of, there's actually no money to do the next step because we didn't plan for the next step? That's my actual literal question.
I know.
And I know that's not you. You literally
know.
got here last year. That's not on you. That's on a systemic thing. So like, that's the so this idea of like communication. I think I'm going to get to the next. I'm going to dovetail these into two questions. This budget shortfall is not a surprise to the people who work within the system. What like? Where does this communicate? How do we fix this?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
I know
how like the budgeting thing is not something communicated to the townspeople and kind of an open discussion so that people can actually look at it. Because like, you know, I think there's many people who are really smart, who have really good ideas that want to talk.
I know.
To at least give input.
Of course.
Because now we're here.
Yes.
Now we're here. Like we can't go backwards. Whoever screwed up, because people don't take accountability anymore when they have an idea and it doesn't plan out, and that happens. You can have ideas. That's the point. Like you have ideas. Sometimes those ideas fail, and then you have to tweak. And I think we can have enough grace for people who actually authentically think something will do well from their idea. But like, yeah, what's the next step? How do we fix this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, from my perspective as a teacher, again, I'm speaking, my personal experience here. I've always found that top-down leadership is not, it may be effective in certain places, in certain types of businesses, but in the business of education, I don't think it's as effective as involving your people at the building level, because they're the ones who actually know how the school runs. They understand the scheduling. They know where all the problems areas are. They know what needs to be improved. They know exactly what works, what doesn't work. But if the people at the top don't talk to the people who are actually doing the work of education, then you're going to have that disconnect. And that is why I believe we are in some of the situations that we are in.
Well, how do you know if your policy works or if it's helping if you don't ask the people that directly affect the policy? And being in the military, and I find schools are actually structured basically the same.
Really?
Yes, it's basically the same. You have an administrative class.
Okay.
You have a teacher class like the other
non-coms.
Yeah. So you have commissioned officers.
Yes.
You have non-commissioned officers.
Right.
The greatest advice that officers get are have a great NCO and listen to them, because your job are beans and bullets. Are you getting your men the necessary tools to conduct the mission? Because you aren't conducting the mission. You are telling them this is the mission and making sure they have everything they need, or just assisting them in any way possible to execute the plan. And that's where, like, when I look at a school, and I think sometimes it has issues being structured like this, because, well, one, if I don't listen, they will literally take my pay and make me work. Like, that is part of Uniform Code of Military Justice. I literally have no choice to shut up and listen. But, like, there's a sense of duty, like an obligation to the mission. And that's why, I think schools are actually the same if we look at it that way.
I never
and you
thought
need
of
to
it.
support your job.
Yep.
The principal is the first sergeant
Yes.
of the school. The supervisors are platoon sergeants. You have squad leaders, and this is the same. in my brain.
Never thought of it that way.
It is the same. And the fact that we don't treat it like that, I think actually because it is a governmental institution, it is a system built on, no, this is your lane, this is your job, do that job, this is the contract, this is the Uniform Code of Military Justice, this is what your obligations are. And that's where like, no, they don't have to do that. When no one has these conversations with an actual teacher who's on staff, on maybe the board, to communicate with them, how would the teachers feel about this?
Yeah.
If we brought this up. How would that happen in a classroom?
Yeah, it doesn't, and that's the whole thing. It doesn't, I don't feel it works. And I remember I lived it. I breathed it for all of those years. And I've been in this school. Oh my gosh, I touched the microphone.
It's okay.
Sorry. You know, I've seen a lot going on. I started working here in 1987. So you always have ups, you have downs. I'm not seeing us right now where we are. I mean, the only reason we are still maintaining any semblance of excellence, and we have a lot of really good things in our school district, the only reason we're hanging in there is because of our staff. It's the people on the ground who are doing the work, because they, and I usually say we because I can't help myself because
Well, you were part of the crew.
That's where my heart is. My heart is still.
Yeah, but on the board, you are still like, it is we.
Yeah.
It is we.
It should be.
That's like, because you're helping to manage the school district and manage the money that goes in and make sure like it is a we. They can't exist without you.
Yeah.
The schools can't exist without teachers, which I think they forget sometimes. Especially when they're cutting positions versus managerial positions, which don't actually service students. Oh, I'll say it. I don't care. The fact is, like, the teachers run the school. When COVID happened, last time I checked, schools shut down when they didn't have enough teachers to show up that day. No one cared if the principal was there actually, because the school ran, because you have professionals who have degrees that are presumably are subject matter experts in their field and adults. So I totally get where you're coming from.
We make it work.
Yeah.
We as teachers make the magic happen every day. And if you don't support your staff, how in the world do you expect your students to be successful? Because and this amuses me, and as an educator, you'll probably have had this experience too. I was told, well, you know, you don't have to be a teacher to be on the Board of Ed. Well, okay, no, you don't have to be a teacher, but let me tell you, there's a pretty big learning curve.
If you're not.
If you're not a teacher, and I appreciate people who have expertise in finance or, you know, what their field of expertise is. But education is my field of expertise. And when I have people say to me, oh, it's not the board's job to support the teachers, they have the union.
No, the union is there to protect the teachers. The union's not there to support the teachers. The union is there to legally protect them from malfeasance of the school district firing them or doing things.
Contractual.
It's literally a legal position.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff is ancillary that they do to support their staff because the members pay dues.
Yeah.
So they want them to keep paying dues. So they do other things to give them value for their union membership. But they aren't actually there to support them.
Right. So then people like last year were like, oh, Anna doesn't care about the students because she only ever talks about the teachers. And I was so puzzled by that. I'm like, and then I realized it's because they've never been a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, they don't understand that we never stop thinking of our students.
Yeah.
There is no day off when you're a teacher because you're always planning. It's Friday, you're leaving, you're bringing home papers to grade, you're doing whatever. Over the weekend, you're thinking about the next week's lessons. Over the summer, you're taking professional development. You know, everywhere I would go, I was like, oh, that's a great song. My kids would love that song. I'll make an arrangement of it.
I would literally read books as an English teacher just because I think, oh, this would be a thoughtful discussion.
Right.
in my room about Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
We never stop thinking of the kids, which is why, it's perplexing when people say things like that. And I realize it's just coming from, they don't understand.
Well, I think they should look at it like parenting then. You can't support your child if you are not good. If you're a loser, you can't support your kid. I had a kid at 20. I joined the Army. I finished my degree by 24, finished my master's degree. I cannot take care of my child and give her a good life if I'm a loser. That's just the brass tacks of it. I'm pretty honest. And it's the same thing. Like, if a teacher is worried about external things, they are not worried about what is going on in the room. And I get it. And this is our teacher thing connection in this regard. I get it from a teacher perspective fully. So I think my last question for you is, if someone was talking about you and you finished your career as, like, let's say you get on the board again and you do your thing and you do a couple years doing that, how would you like someone to finish this sentence? This is what Anna Braun made better for our school district. When you go off into the sunset, the Caribbean, the Bahamas. Oh. Okay? How do you want them to finish that sentence, Anna?
How I want them to?
Yeah, how do you think they will? Or what do you envision?
It is truly depressing. Legacy. People talk about leaving a legacy. We've already been told to expect 3 to 5 years of budget shortfalls.
Oh yeah, he said that. I remember. It will get worse before it gets better.
Right.
I remember that sentence.
Yeah.
Some people ignored that sentence.
Oh no.
But that was him being very candid. And I was like, oh crap.
Exactly. So, like, what am I doing to myself? I didn't have enough, of going through one budget season, and I'm ready to throw myself. It feels like throw myself in front of a train.
Yeah.
A train wreck that you can see it happening in front of you. And the best that I can do is to speak up for the teachers and the children, obviously, to keep programming as best as we can. I have no idea. I mean, I submitted plenty of ideas for ways to save money. I guess they weren't good ideas, but, things like, did you know that we spent $20,000 a year for a lady to come with her border collie to chase geese off of the school fields so that we have a geese-free environment?
Oh, we pay
$20,000 to a lady with a dog.
Okay.
That dog makes more than some of our staff per hour.
And when we did contract negotiations at North Brunswick, I was actually really angry a lot of times because our aides would make less money than a Wawa employee.
Yep.
And when I would sit there and argue, because I remember when look, I understand everybody has different political views, things like that. I remember when everybody clapped because they changed the language from he, she in the contract to they, and this was in North Brunswick. And then they showed the numbers of how much people were making. And the biggest thing I was griping about was actually our support staff makes nothing. And it's quite frankly disgusting. And everyone was okay with approving this stuff and not focused on the right stuff. Yeah. The language of I don't care about that. That actually doesn't affect my family or your family or how we interact. Like, I think that's a deep part of it, where this person's getting paid $20,000, which, hey, that's your hustle, lady. Do your thing. But okay, maybe we have geese.
My daughter is just for full disclosure, she's a part-time instructional aide at Churchill.
Yeah.
No health benefits. So so when I look at this and I see a dog is making $20,000 a year, and we're cutting staff, that doesn't sit well with me. We just spent, I believe it was $800,000 or $900,000 we borrowed to buy new buses, okay, which we do every year because the buses are on a 5 or 6 year cycle to be sold. All right, so every year we're borrowing that much money, and then we're selling 9-year-old buses. Now, those buses can be used up until 15 years. So we're selling buses that still have a 6-year
Yeah, why aren't we using them until they die?
Well, 15 years
Or
is
close to it, like
15 years would be what the state says you can use them.
Oh, that's the reg?
Yeah, for this.
So it's up to 15 years.
Yeah, for up to 15 years.
Okay.
And so this was a question that I asked multiple times. And I'm like, we don't have the money for this.
Do we have a service? Like, do we service the truck? How do we service the truck?
There's money in the budget for maintenance. I think it's like 400,000+.
I think we should invest in an auto body shop and have kids fix these things.
used to
and
have
maybe
one.
actually do, I don't know, real programming for kids that doesn't involve just sending everybody to college, which is going to be replaced soon. So, no, I'll say whatever I want.
No, please do. My son's a tradesman.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, why don't we all fix the trucks on our own and do that here?
Evidently, once the extended warranty runs out on the buses, there's not enough money in the budget to repair them. But hold on. But if we're not borrowing money to keep replacing buses,
yeah, then we have money. Or make an infrastructure, an educational one, to, I don't know, maintain, like Edison. I grew up in Edison. We have an auto shop in there.
Mm-hmm.
A really good one. And literally teachers could bring their cars.
Oh my gosh.
For kids to do oil changes.
Whoa.
A tire change. And they would just contact the head of the department, and then the kids would service and work on these.
That's fantastic.
I literally don't understand.
Yeah, we used
how
to have it.
Like we have pipelines for AP to go to
I know.
college at a high degree, and like not everybody is supposed to do that. Some people would actually do really well learning how to fix the buses within the communities that we live in.
There are a lot of options.
You know?
So if anything, if I can leave anything positive, I would like to say, some common sense spending and really digging down deep. Now, I know it's not millions of dollars I'm finding, but, going through that budget binder, which was this thick, all right? It was a hard copy budget binder, and I asked for an online one, a paper, because I can't say this little tiny font, right? I wear progressives. And I was told there is no electronic version.
Well, how'd they print it? What? Did somebody is this like the 1500s and someone put case typing on the thing and that's how they printed it? I didn't know we did it that way still.
I don't know.
Okay.
So, and then I was told, because I couldn't read it, and I said, hey, do you got an electronic version? Oh no, we don't have one. There isn't one for board members. And I said, look, I can't see. Well, you can get a magnifier.
Okay. There we go, Sherlock.
I know. Why didn't I think of that?
You should get the hat too.
I know. Yeah. Oh, exactly. Right. And then I was like,
pipe, and you'll be ready.
And then I was told, oh well, other people can see fine. They can see it.
Okay.
Oh, so you're going to shame a senior citizen for wearing progressive glasses? Well, we can print you a large print copy.
So you can change the typeface on it?
On a non-electronic.
On the non-digital?
Okay. So I'm just saying, to me, in looking at things from my perspective, there are ways to save money. There are, and some good ideas have been put out. Are we utilizing all of our properties? Because some of our properties are not schools.
Yeah.
Right? Are we using, let's take the building at 760, Route 18. Do we really need the whole building? Can we sublet part of it? Because we keep losing supervisors, right? They keep getting riffed. Do you really need the whole building? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Back in the olden days, some of the supervisors had their offices in different schools. Well, now we have technology that allows you to communicate.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to
even
be
have
sitting.
to be in person.
No, it doesn't have to be in person. I mean, I taught online over
Some schools
Zoom.
are integrating the board buildings into the schools
Right?
because real estate's expensive.
Of course it is.
So, like, and if you're not utilizing, I own a gym. If the mat's not being used,
Yep.
I'm not making money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if we want to look for extra money, let's. There are ways that a school district can be like a business
Yes. Absolutely.
in order to pull in stuff.
Yes.
You know?
It's the business of education. Yep.
Yes, which is a different business philosophy
Yes.
than the business of running a corporation that's on the NASDAQ.
Yes.
You know, that's a very different philosophy. But again, I think, and this is just me, I think having appropriate leaders who believe in the fact that they're serving the community and not a business, I think that will be a better approach.
Yeah.
And
A change in mindset, let's say.
Yes.
And I hope that in my own way that I have helped to, how can I say this? Again, I keep getting into trouble. How do I say these things?
I think you're fine.
Am I okay? Nicely. Status quo doesn't work anymore, folks. We have never been in this kind of financial shape. Now, my mom started working in the schools in 1973 as a cafeteria lady. And then I started working in 87. So she and I overlapped.
Yeah.
I left, my daughter got hired. So I have a big chunk of time where I have.
Yeah, you're like a family of cops. You're a family of educators.
Right, I was going to say,
You're
it's
like a family
almost
of cops.
right.
In the
Third
military, it's the
generation.
same,
It's crazy.
idea.
3 generations, and all of us worked at Churchill at one point, which I just think is so funny. But guess what? Things don't work the same anymore. We have never had this kind of budgetary devastation, and again, that's coming from the state. A lot of it, right? Because it's a big mystery. How much are we going to get cut? How much are we going to get? What,
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I feel like Trenton, they must be rolling dice and decide.
But honestly, that isn't what, you know, I and this is, I'm not running for Board of Education. These are just things I think in my head. But from a budgetary standpoint, I wouldn't even look at the state stuff. I'd go, this is extra gravy we get every year. That isn't really budgeted. And I think a lot of the districts, when the COVID thing happened, they're stupid and they budgeted poorly and they got all this money that influxed, which was fake money, which was not going to come again. And we weren't going to be in a pandemic forever. And I know some people wanted us to be in our homes forever, but that wasn't how the world and universe works. And they burned through a lot of this stuff that they could have managed a little differently and tied positions to money that isn't real. Because you should only tie positions to money that's literally budgeted through your township.
Yep.
You know, unless it's a granted position, which is different.
That's
You know, because I have teachers who left teaching to go into the educational coach thing, which is a grant typically, but they're still on staff, so they keep their tenure and they keep theirs, and they can come in. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But aside from that, Anna, I really appreciate you coming today. I appreciate you taking the time to speak authentically, because these are the types of conversations I'm trying to grow within our community and have. And I appreciate you taking the time. I know that whoever does this job, this is a difficult position and takes a lot of work. And whether anyone disagrees with their approach to this, people are doing this because they want to. You don't gain money from this. So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, Anna.
Well,
for
thank
coming
you.
out today. I appreciate it.
It's good to see you.